all Christians will have a certain attitude towards those outside of Christ. And they'll have a similar commitment when it comes to the body of Christ and to reading the words of Christ, right? But commitment will, apart from those commonalities, will display itself very differently because of our varying personalities, what we're good at, what we feel comfortable with. And that means we shouldn't try to force everyone to be the same way. We should just try to inspire everyone to be committed. The shape that commitment takes will vary from person to person. Now, third, Jesus Christ, as busy as he was, made time for relationships. It's clear to me that this family, the family of Martha and Mary and Lazarus, held a special place in his heart. We notice also that among his friends, Jesus counted not just men, but women too. Now, he comported himself with propriety. We know that at all times. He wasn't so focused on being holy and dignified that he held aloof from these people. We don't know that Mary and Martha were ministry associates, or that Lazarus was an evangelist in training, or that these three were called to lead some special life, to hold to some high calling in the church. We don't know. Quite possibly they did. But it's not, relationships are not just based on position. They're based on friendship. And Jesus, as busy as he was, made time for relationships. Wow. For those of us who are more task-oriented, if you're like me, and you identify a little bit more with the Martha than with the Mary, that may be a challenge. Now, the last application is this. And now, we've spent some time looking at John 12 and John 11. I think it really gives us the background to appreciate Luke 10, doesn't it? He says, Martha, Martha, you are worried. You're upset about many things, but only one thing is necessary. I think I need this lesson every day, because every day I've got a list of things to do. I'm a guy who writes things down because I've got so many things, I'm afraid I'll forget them. The truth is, if I didn't write them down, I would remember most of them. I don't trust myself totally. Or is it I'm just comfortable with lists? What I need to do is be like Mary and just sit at the feet of Christ. Well, I'm not saying I don't. I spend a lot of time every day praying and reading, studying and meditating. I do a lot. That's a daily discipline. I would never give that up. But there's a difference. Because if we're seated in the posture of a disciple at the feet of the Lord learning, but we're still anxious and troubled, then we haven't really gone all the way. We need to sit at the Lord's feet and listen. Don't let anything crowd out your daily time with the Lord. And I'm not talking about a single time with the Lord. It's great to have one time that's really substantial. But throughout the day, we need time with the Lord to read his word, to pray, to think, to get our head together. Don't we? That's the challenge. If you're listening to this podcast and you're not a Christian yet, or you're really thinking about these things, it's not harder than, it's not as hard as you think. We tend to think things complicated that are really straightforward. I know life's complicated. There are 1,000 distractions and excuses. But at the end of the day, only one thing is necessary. When we are at the end of our lives, looking back, we'll realize that all this fretting and running around, it was not necessary.